Hello everybody, I'm Barbra and welcome back to my channel, Straight Out of Context. I am not defaming anybody. Fair use disclaimer. These are my opinions, thoughts, and feelings, which are protected with my constitutional, civil, and basic human rights. I found a YouTube channel called Woacb versus Woacb. It means without a crystal ball versus without a crystal ball. I don't know that channel. I don't follow reality TV. And I don't know who Katie Joy Paulson is, but apparently she's the most hated person on the internet. But this is really funny because this whole page is nothing but somebody taking a lot of time in creating these videos with her own statements and her own video clips, and taking her own statements and her own video clips where she says something completely different. And I guess Katie Joy Paulson, she claims that she's a journalist. However, I've done a little bit of homework and turns out she does not have a degree in journalism to practice journalism. And she's worse than just a hypocrite and a person who contradicts herself, because she is actively trying to monetize her channel and subscribers. I don't know how she even gets the subscribers, to be honest. I mean, how ignorant must you be to not be able to pick up on all of the things she says, and then the things she says that contradict it is beyond me. But the fact that she's a plagiarist, she plagiarizes everything. She doesn't have sources. She doesn't have behind the scenes people. She doesn't have attorneys and a whole entire team and staff and all of that. She's pretending like she does to monetize her channel. But it's funny because she's like many creators in the comfort of her own home, and she's using her cell phone for a majority of her content. But to me, that is absolutely illegal and immoral to plagiarize. There's a reason why there's laws against defamation, libel, slander, stalking, harassment, cyberbullying, and why there are laws against plagiarism. You cannot go, like if you're doing a report on anything, you cannot go online and take somebody else's report or take somebody else's exact words and copy them word for word and publish it or claim it as your own. That's plagiarism. You do that with verbal speech. That's plagiarism. And you cannot, it is against all journalistic oath to take a quote unquote source when you really don't have a source and make something up, because that is very malicious and harmful intent behind that, to completely make up false narratives and false gossip and false rumors to get reality TV fans to come and subscribe to your channel. What you're doing is actively hurting and harming those real public figures, celebrities, reality TV stars, even anybody else that she may have covered, politicians and whatnot. That is absolutely wrong to do that, because essentially you are lying. You are lying about that person. And there is the reason, a very good reason why these laws and this legislation, not only federally, but throughout the states, are in place. Because you have your civil and constitutional and basic human rights, your legal rights, your religious rights to have your good name, to have your privacy, to have your space, to have your body, and many other things like your First Amendment right. And one of those, purposely defaming somebody, slandering somebody, cyberbullying somebody, putting out false gossip and rumors, is tantamount to misinformation, scamming, conning, lying. And that, not only can you be sued for that, would you want that to happen to you? Honestly. So it's no wonder why so many creators and so many companies have sent her cease and desist letters to tell her to stop mentioning them. Because if you don't, a lawsuit will follow. And it's not just going to be civil stuff. She's going to be really walking that fine line between criminal. So I found this YouTube channel and I just think it's absolutely fabulous. And it's not because Katie Joy herself, but it's just, well, I'm about to show you. Take a look.
Some 9-year-olds can be sophisticated. I wasn't that sophisticated when I was 9. I think people just don't want to believe that a kid would lie, or I think people don't ever want to doubt that a kid is lying. So we never want to distrust what a kid is saying, right? So you don't want to assume that the child isn't being truthful. But I think if she's not being truthful, it has nothing to do with the girl being untruthful. I think it's the dad that's made her be untruthful. So it's either the dad that's at fault, or it's the boyfriend and the mom at fault.
Why does there have to be somebody at fault?
But
sometimes nobody's at fault.
Kids can lie all the time. My kid can lie like.
Why does she always mention her son?
That,
that victim narrative and victim narrative feeding and virtue signaling and all of that. And then she tells everybody else, stop talking about my son. Then don't bring up your son. Stop using him.
They want to please. If they think it'll like help the parent that they want to please, they can lie. I mean, that's just.
Well, yeah, that happens all the time, especially when a kid has grown up with parents that are divorced or have never been together. They love to do that because it takes away from their personal accountability and personal responsibility for their own actions and their own choices. And so instead of saying, yeah, you know, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, they're going to tell the other parent that the other parent did this, and that, when that's not necessarily the truth.
People thought they looked too cozy, and if this is like Isabel, you know, with kids,
that would be defamation for kids.
Kids can never lie. And if
but that's how kids are. Their brain's not developed yet.
That's my thing, is kids can never lie.
See?
The idea that kids don't lie is ridiculous. Kids lie.
I'm not a liar. I don't lie. I've never lied. Never.
Really? Because that's nothing but what your channel is. So that right there, that's what I want to show everybody. That is just absolutely fabulous. And if you do not follow that channel, I would go and follow it. If you have been a fan of hers, check it out.
I'm just going to wait. Hi, guys. Hello. Hi. How are you? How is everyone? Hello. I just needed to come on here and say something because
she always wants to come on here and say something. Nobody is asking you to come on here and say something.
I shared a photo of George Floyd, who is from Minneapolis. I grew up in Minneapolis. George Floyd's girlfriend is a longtime friend of family friends of ours.
That's a lie.
So we
that
have
is a lie.
Literally like 2 degrees of separation from these people. And everything I've heard about George Floyd's girlfriend was that she was a wonderful human being, is still a wonderful human being, that she was so happy and really loved George, and they had definitely had some issues with getting on pain pills because of their pain, but they weren't bad people. He was not resisting arrest when Mr. Derek Chauvin put his knee
on his
neck,
is she doing to her hands?
Making it impossible for him to breathe. Derek had to be moved off of George by paramedics. Paramedics were not even allowed to help resuscitate.
Okay, apparently she's on some kind of really heavy duty stimulants because not only are her pupils super dilated, yes, but her hands, she's a picker. She's picking, and that's really not good, especially if you're not washing your hands.
Resuscitate George because Derek Chauvin had his knee on his neck.
Oh,
George
she did not.
Was pulled over, or effectively like arrested for a fake $20 bill, and he's dead. Derek Chauvin, according to the federal government, stole over $400,000 from them, or $400,000, and didn't pay taxes on it, and he's literally alive. Tell me, who's the criminal here? It
doesn't matter if George wasn't an angel. It doesn't matter if he had a conviction in the past. It doesn't matter if he used drugs. What matters, and we won't, are you going to shame someone whose house gets busted open? Someone breaks into their house and says, well, he had a criminal history.
I just got to stop right there because I love how she went. And she's got no hair to do that. It's literally the air flip of the imaginary hair that's not there.
And so I don't care that you completely robbed and, kidnapped his kid because he had a criminal conviction.
Anyway, Kyle's back on Facebook, and he's just talking about how when people bring up the past, tell them Jesus dropped the charges, and when someone helps you while you're struggling too, that's not help, that's love. Could you imagine if the criminal court system worked like that? Like, imagine if your defense, and I always say this about Janelle Eason, because Janelle Eason's favorite defense is that was in the past. Just because I did it in the past doesn't mean I'm going to do it again. Just because I was a total heroin addict in the past and a drunk doesn't mean I'm still a drunk. Oh, wait
a minute. Isn't she on Adderall and drinking all the time? First of all, you shouldn't have custody of anybody if you're doing that. Secondly, you shouldn't be on the internet. Third, you shouldn't be passing judgment or even speaking a word on anybody or anything else and then publishing it online.
Oops, I called up my husband on the cops in 2018 and was wasted. It's like, no, I'm sorry. Could you imagine walking into a courthouse and being like, hi, I was indicted on 12 counts of fraud, but that was in the past. Can you just drop that? Because Jesus said that he would drop the charges. It's just in the past.
What is she doing?
I literally hate
what
when
is
people
that?
say that. The past has consequences, you guys. It literally
What
has
is that thing she's doing with her chin?
Consequences.
Why does George Floyd having a criminal conviction from years ago
wow, virtue signaling,
change what happened to him?
grandstanding, race baiting, gatekeeping,
If you were murdered tomorrow,
slander, defamation,
do you think it would
libel,
be okay
all
if
of
I
it.
was like, well, they were just a shitty person, so I'm glad they're dead?
Like, so Dee Dee Blanchard's case, like, just wrapped up, right? So Nicholas Godjun just got sentenced to life in prison for killing.
She cannot pronounce anything. You are the worst verbal journalist if you were actually a journalist with a degree to practice journalism. But I'll tell you, Nicholas Godajun.
Her, which PS is like super stupid. Like, he shouldn't have gotten life in prison. Dee Dee deserved to die.
Here. The problem with that whole case is that they got it backwards. The person that's by Missouri law, first degree murder is anybody who knowingly causes the death of another person, soliciting somebody else to murder somebody, having somebody else hired to murder somebody. Those all fall under first degree premeditated murder. And that is what she actually was. That's her actual crime. That's what she did. The plea deal that she got for second degree and the sentence she got with that plea gave her stipulations, and a part of that plea was she had to testify against Nicholas Godajun. That's backwards. Very backwards, because you just gave an incentive to the person who plotted and planned and carried out the entire thing and is the more guilty party. I know he did the action, but you just gave the person all like an entire legal loophole. And usually it's the other way around. The person that does the action would get the plea deal and some sentencing sometimes shaved off, and they're the ones that have to testify at trial against the person. But of course the DA and the PA decided not to bring charges against her because they knew it would cost millions of dollars in taxpayers' dollars, that it could be like the Menendez brother trial, that if the abuse story that she had, and that's heavily debated because there's no actual proof of anything, that could taint a jury, that it would have come back a hung jury, or any of those things, and that they would have to retry her again, which means more money. So instead of that, They offered her a plea deal for second degree, but she didn't do second degree. She actually did first degree premeditated murder under federal law and under Missouri law. Anybody over the age of 18 who knowingly causes the death of another person, when you get somebody else to come and shoot the gun, stab the knife, whatever it may be, you are the one that did it. So you're the one that's guilty for plotting and planning, soliciting, or hiring somebody else. It doesn't mean you're the person who physically did the act. That's not even the definition of schmurder or schmomicide. Can't say the buzzwords there, but that's what it is. So the whole thing with the Gypsy case and why everybody's so upset is because they prematurely gave her a plea deal, and they were offering the plea deal to the wrong person because they gave the person who was the more guilty party for plotting and planning and all of that an incentive to lie and an incentive to keep lying. And in no interview in the last 9+ years has she ever said that she did it because of ABUSE. Not once. It was because she wanted to get out from her mother's control. I'm sorry, but it doesn't look like her mother was very controlling. She was on a phone, a laptop, some kind of social media, text, phone communication, almost non-stop for years. For years. Seems to me like her mother, especially with her weight, her diabetes, her own health stuff, seemed to me like she wasn't very physically active to be controlling, and certainly never stopped her from telling lots of other people what was going on in her life or trying to do things. And there's lots of video and photographic evidence of her not being controlled at all, but being able to do lots of things. So it very much plays into she was a part of it. She was acting. But that whole thing gave her a lie and out to not take full accountability and responsibility for her actions. And those are actions that are, you can't come back from that. Once you cross that line, you can't come back from that. And I believe in forgiveness and redemption, but I'm not God, so I can't say if she's worthy of forgiveness or redemption because it's not my place to judge. All I know is that her sentencing was off and his sentencing is off, and it's not fair to either party. That one person gets to get out after 8.5 years and the other person literally loved her so much that he's going to spend 3 times as much time in prison than Gypsy ever did with her mother. Potentially, if he lives to be in his 90s especially, he could be in prison up to 3 times longer than Gypsy was with her mother. Think about that. If anybody's ever said that they loved that girl and meant it, it would be Nicholas Godejohn, because he is serving his life. Let's hope and pray that he gets a new trial or he gets reduced sentencing. And to that end, I'm not going to be talking about Gypsy Rose anymore because, there's nothing anybody can do to really change her entire thing. So, going on there and harassing her and all that, that's not going to help at all. But people like Katie Joy, that's all they do. You want to bully somebody, Katie Joy? Right here. Come on. Bully me. I dare you. I fucking dare you.
Here's the question, though.
You
This
can't.
is the question that I have for both of you. Did the guy that went to the island, should he have known that's what the outcome was going to be?
Yes, he knew it.
Yeah.
He knew. If you've read anything about him, he knew the risks.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a martyr. He had become so above and beyond who he was. He had this grandiose sense of self. He was going to save the last dying, or the last tribe of the world. He deserved to die. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I won't say they didn't. You know,
Did she
I don't
really
think that
just
people
say
deserve to
that?
die. I think he should have had friends that tried to tell him otherwise. You know, like if I had a friend that was saying, "I'm going to go to North Sentinel Island and preach Jesus," I'd be like, "Don't."
It's so funny. I don't know where they come up with this stuff. It's gotta be. Yeah. And they'll sit there and they'll go, but our Reddit is so truthful. Like, your Reddit says that I sacrifice animals. No. That's why I find it funny. All right. And then
Jesse Bear, I would never say that I was actually a Christian.
We pretended to be Christians for about a year and 3 years. No, a couple of
That's really fucked up. That's really fucked up.
years.
Defend my race. I will fight for my race, primarily with words and ideas.
You're just gonna go for the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You can, like, if you want to monetize your, if you want to have a YouTube channel and monetize it, that's, hey, this is America. We're a capitalist society. Go ahead, go for it. Make all the money you want. But to do it in such a horse crap way.
Yeah.
When you're doing it in criminal ways like defaming, slandering, cyberbullying, lying, plagiarizing, contradicting your own self constantly, bringing up innocent children with autism, neglecting your dogs and your child because you're on the internet over 16 hours a day, I'd say that's pretty serious.
It's whatever. I don't know.
I understand. You are a wonderful husband and a good father.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I love you.
Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
Hi.
Hi. I grew up with a lot of very racist boys that were very sheltered. And you have to remember, like, you wouldn't even know this, but when I was living...
Are black that have to worry about this. George didn't run from the officer. And you know what, cat lady? You're getting blocked too.
Block.
Nobody's running from officers. And you know what? I'm so tired of people justifying that running from a police officer is justification for murder. It's not. You have no idea what that person's been through or
No, but it's the prelude to resisting arrest. And you're going to have problems if you start running. That's just what people are saying. They're not trying to justify the murder. So, as you can see, this lady, she's just, Katie Joy Paulson is a fucking joke. I cannot believe that YouTube has not taken her down with all the things that she has done illegally. The plagiarism, the lies, the fake sources. You can't do that. You cannot say you have a source when you don't. And make up false narratives. However, go check out Without a Crystal Ball versus Without a Crystal Ball. It's hilarious. Anyway, have a great day, everybody.